are you in the condition of the kind of woman that the man you want wants? Usually that answer is no.
Starting with the basics, what is hypergamy?
So if you think about way back in the day, right, when we were like trading versus monetary value, when you think about the men back then that wanted to marry, in order for them to be wed, your father, well, maybe not your father, but the father of the woman you wanted, he needed to show and prove to this man that he could take care of his daughter, that he could hunt, fish, and build a house, let's say. So today's standards, that would look like a man who makes good money, he takes care of his family, he brings home the bacon, so to speak. And that's what hypergamy is. It is marrying above your socioeconomic status, marrying up, if you will.
I get it, but I also have like a reaction to it at the same time. Would you say that's a common theme?
Yeah. I mean, part of the reason why a very select phrase in my marketing is how to meet a rich man. And that's because it does that same effect. It gives you a feeling. And you're not too sure what that feeling is. Like, does this feel good? Does this feel bad? Should I be ashamed of this? It is a taboo topic that most people don't want to talk about. But as women begin to experience dating and what we call struggle love, they find very quickly that that is not the route of love they want to take for the rest of their lives. It becomes very, very difficult to love on a specific level, especially when money is involved and you don't have any.
Do you think, though, that everybody is really doing this, whether they admit it or not?
Yes, I believe they are. Anybody who's taking a relationship seriously, even to the point of marriage, right? You're married, yes? You mentioned
I
earlier
am.
my
Yeah.
wife.
Yeah.
Okay. If your wife did not see that, not just your potential, because that sounds great, but we know that not everybody reaches their true potential. If
Right.
she
Right.
didn't see a highly ambitious, motivated man who was adamant about providing for her and taking care of a family, eventually as the family, came about, but way back when she was just dating you, there had to be potential there. Or she would have said, not this guy, he's a loser. If she didn't feel that sense of security, she wouldn't be your wife.
I can't disagree with you. I can't in reality disagree with you, right? Like, yes, I would say that my wife and I married because we love each other, but we do love certain things about each other. And I would
Mhm.
say that, like, I like the fact that she had her stuff together. She probably liked the fact that I had my stuff together. I think what maybe jumps out about it is it's too on the nose. No, don't say the quiet part out loud.
It's exactly that. I made a lot of noise with the quiet part that people have been ashamed about talking about. It's just a taboo topic. It's not the richest man in the room. So it's not just money. Rich is actually an acronym that we use for respect, integrity, character, and honor. So what makes a man rich is the foundation he believes in, the beliefs he has, his core values. That's what makes him rich. Money is a byproduct of that person. And that's why my business has done incredibly well, because we're finally talking about the secret things that grandma's grandma knew. But somewhere down the generations, it turned to be an independent woman, um, take care of yourself. You don't need a man for anything. It turned into this mindset somewhere along the way. And I simply disagree. I agree with grandma's grandma.
But do you think that is it different now because we do have the kind of rise of the independent woman, and men are also a little bit unsure of, like, wait a minute, what am I supposed to be now? Am I supposed to be compassionate? Are we supposed to be even in this? Am I supposed to be the traditional man of my grandfathers?
Mhm.
Like, is it different now than it was in the past?
Absolutely, because the culture of what we consume has changed, and men are falling on one side or the other. They're either falling on the red pill side, where it's very like, um, you know, find a beautiful hot young chick with no kids, and that's your dream girl, and you only marry her if this stipulation and that stipulation. And I'm sure they believe much deeper than that, but just skimming the surface. Or
Yeah, I know
you
what you mean.
fall on or you fall on the other side, we'll call it, which is where you're like, look, we're in a relationship together. We should be doing 50-50. We should be, I'm not, even the red pill guys know that they need to take care of their woman. The kind of woman they get may be subjective, but they believe that, a man is supposed to be a man and take care of his woman. Even no matter how much we feel about Andrew Tate, the one thing that he always said was, and there's a lot I disagree with, but one thing he always said that I strongly stand with is that men are supposed to be men. And now you either are that or you are completely not that. My students, for example, the women that I work with, they're all business owners. Every single one of them start a business. That's my goal with them, is to build your soft life with other people's pockets. My motto is, you're going to date. Dating is expensive. You go out on a nice dinner date. It's what, $300, right? You get 2 drinks each, 2 glasses of wine, whatever. You're looking at $300. $300 can be the foundation of building a business, so that instead of you saying like, hey babe, for the 6th date, let's go out and spend another $300. It's like, hey, why don't we insert alternative for the date here, right? Something less expense worthy, but still valuable. And instead, I'd like you to help me lock in my LLC. I'd like you to help me register my business. I'd like you to help me get this inventory. I'd like you to help me hire this web developer. And women are just tired of carrying all of the weight in a relationship. I mean, men are coming into relationships with women now and they've got their own house, they've got their own car, they've got the foundation pretty much set up. So it's like, it's no longer just the question one way from a man to a woman of what do you bring to the table, but now roles are sort of reversing.
I've always kind of felt like men confused being in charge with being responsible. It's easy to be in charge, right? Like you're bigger and stronger. It's easy to be in
Right.
charge. It's hard to be responsible. I
Very
feel
well
like
said.
for me, that's the real test of manliness, is like being responsible. But getting into the kind of the coaching aspect of it. So how do you meet a rich man, basically?
So the key is proximity or get online. We search for single men, we align them with single women, and I give the strategy on how to do that. And the first key is, number one, your mindset. You have to know that I deserve this kind of man because I'm the kind of woman that this kind of man that I have in mind, he wants. He wants me. Women have to elevate to the place that the man they want wants. So the first thing we do is adjust the mindset and apply the action to become that woman. So they're not stepping into a relationship money hungry, like, I need your money, so I'm going to date you. You see? Then the
Yeah.
next step is putting them in proximity. That's where we get online or get out in person. A lot of people do not leave the mundaneness of their routine. My thing is, if you've been single for a long time, you have to check your routine and like, okay, this isn't working. Let me try something else. So I've mastered the online dating world. I have these incredible formulas for how to write the perfect profile. And they work. My students have gotten married off of sites like Seeking, which, I don't endorse. I don't get any paid ad or commercial or anything from them. But I really like Seeking because the men that are there are already in protect, provide mode. They may not be in marriage mode, but not all my students are looking for that. And most people don't really know that from the beginning. Go to the places where successful people go. Stop dining at, Five Guys and go to Four Seasons. Those little small changes put you in proximity of a whole different realm of people that you've never tapped into. Most people don't realize how easy that is.
When you look at these relationships, are they love relationships or are they transactional relationships?
Eventually they're love. They're not I mean, I think all relationships are transactional. It just might not be monetary. They're all transactional. I need something from you. You need something from me.
So then why do people get so upset about this? Because it is kind of the way the world works.
It depends on the people you talk to, friend. If you talk to people that fall below that number, right? Everybody has an idea of a number that's like comfortable in life. Sometimes it's 6 figures, sometimes it's over 50,000, sometimes for some people it's 30,000, right? But they have this idea in mind of what makes them the man, right? I've achieved this level of success. I'm confident in who I am. The people that are outside of that space are the ones that get upset with this, because what it's doing is it's raising an insecurity that they already have in themselves.
I guess the thing about, in terms of, like, if you put a number cap on it, right? Like when we met, I was a reporter. Reporters don't make very much money. I made $31,000 a year,
Mhm.
right? Like, under your system, would my wife have ruled me out?
Yes and no. Were you a reporter that had that vision and that dream of like, here's where I'm going next? This job is a stepping stone to where I'm going next. Or were you a reporter that was making 30,000 and you figured out how to do life with 30,000 and you didn't want a bigger house. You didn't want to have children because you can't bring kids into this world making 30,000. You can. It's just going to be a struggle. I know, because I lived it. I've made 27,000 most of my life. So I don't necessarily think that your wife under my model would look at you and say, not possible because you only make 30K, because she knows under my model that it's not the richest man in the room. It is the one most willing, because a woman carrying the weight of an entire household is not the way we are designed to operate. We're just not. We're not designed to do that. We are designed to nurture and heal and grow and 10x. We're not designed to build. That is a man's job.
Do you feel, is it harder to find a rich man? Like, are men losing that drive or inspiration?
That is a really good question. I think that in certain demographics and cultures, men are losing it. But clearly there's many happily married women out here right now. So it's hard to say that they're losing it. I think that it's not being foundationally taught as like a core value of who you are.
When you look at some of your clients, like, what's usually the reason that they're not getting the rich man? Like, what's the mistake that they're usually making?
It's usually them. It's usually them. It's usually
It's
the women
always
that come to me. It is. I mean, it's like, being a gym trainer and you're like, what's the problem of the people that come to see you? Well, they're fat and out of shape. Well, why are they fat and out of shape? Because they chose to be, right? They're not disciplined. They're missing the steps to take to get healthy. Some of them might have a condition or whatever, but realistically, it's usually always the person. You have the power to decide who you're going to be, how you're going to be, and what you're going to be. So when it comes to men and women, women are okay to settle for whatever when they want whatever. When they don't know what they want, they get whatever. And they're okay with that. But as they begin to date throughout that whatever, and they're like, I hate this. I want this. I want this. I want this. By the time you get to a man with money, you look at yourself and take a real reflection moment. Are you in the condition of the kind of woman that the man you want wants? Usually that answer is no. Usually it's either an emotional thing. It's not quite as often a physical thing as you would think. Like, most people are like, you can only date a rich man if you're young and you're hot and your body is your size 2. Like, that's not true. I've married off plenty of chicks, all different sizes, all different colors. It's more of um what can you provide to a person that is already successful in the financial right, but they're clearly missing something in other areas of their life, the intangible things, the things you can't pay for. What of the I reference this book all the time. What of the 5 love languages is he missing? And can you fulfill that?
In any of the relationships, though, the only thing I would think of, like, okay, that would be a little bit of an issue, for lack of a better phrase for me, is if one person is looking for money and the other person is looking for love. Like, as long as two people, like, we both know what this is, that seems fine. But do you run into situations where, no, I thought it was this and I thought it was this, and then those two ships collide?
No, because at the core of my business and what I represent when it comes to relationships is exactly what I have. It is ensuring that you are the missing link in that person's life and they are the missing link in your life.
Are you ready for some harder / listener submitted questions?
I love these questions because I am an advocate for what I do for real, right? Like, because if you scroll down my Instagram page, you'll see weddings, you'll see rings, you'll see engagements, you'll see, yeah, you're going to see nice cars and houses and things like that too that have been gifted, but you will see that the material things do not supersede the relationships.
Best place to find a rich man?
Online, definitely, just because it expands your territory. You will meet people that you wouldn't normally meet. Right now, one of my students just flew back in from Aruba on a private jet with a very, very, obviously, I can't give you his name, but he owns a beverage company that we drink daily. He
Mm.
has opened up 7 streams of income for her. She now has a couple of investment properties, a Jamba Juice, 2 Dunkin' Donuts, a massage and detox location, and quote, more money than she can spend in this lifetime, end quote. So she met him online. She met him on Seeking, a place where you would never imagine that you could find a long-term relationship, but they're talking marriage.
Which one is Seeking? Is that just, is it Match.com by a different name, or is that something else?
It's the dirty version of Match.com. So real quick, shout out to Seeking, but they've really cleaned up their act, no pun intended. They went from are you searching it right now? It's
I am, and I'm wondering.
seekingarrangements.com. Make sure that this is recorded so your wife, when she finds this in your search history,
I know. As we were talking about it, I was like, I don't know if I want to be
maybe I
looking this
shouldn't.
up.
So you're safe to search it, but it is a dating site, and it is for established men to meet women or established women to meet men. But they've completely rebranded everything. It used to be like a hookup sugar site, like, come here and
Sugar
meet your
baby,
sugar
yeah.
daddy kind of thing. But they've really, really put a lot of money, time, and effort into just reestablishing themselves and, doing greater measures to ensure that there's quality men on the site. Are there still douchebags? Sure. Are there still, horny hoppers? Absolutely. But that's everywhere. You meet that in a bar just as much as you meet it at a lounge, as much as you meet it at a Four Seasons. Those men exist. However, I found that when you know the formula to online dating and you do it the right way, you can meet some incredible people. And the relationships may not last forever, but while you are in the midst of that relationship, you make the most of it. Creating purposeful and profitable relationships is the goal. Profit, again, is not always financial.
It's definitely interesting to me that we've been talking for about 40 minutes. But still, anytime you bring up profit or money, like my reaction to it is just
Cringe.
like, oh, I don't like that. I don't like that this is about love. This is fairy tales. This is being
Hmm.
swept off, right? Like, I still have that reaction of like, oh, I don't like that. I
That's
don't like the
because
sound of
love
that.
makes people feel good. It's a feel good thing. And money makes people feel bad. It's a feel bad thing, unless you have it.
Do you feel like, though, that any of your clients or any other women out there are compromising in any way? That, like, man, you know what? This guy, he's really busy. I don't get to see him. He doesn't really take care of the kids, or he doesn't do this. He doesn't do whatever this thing that this is and is.
Hmm.
But he's rich.
No,
Does money make the people compromise?
absolutely, but not in my program. Because the women are looking for longevity when they come to work with me. I mean, and when they do have that concern, they'll come to the group, they'll come to the community, they'll come to the call on Sunday, and they're like, "Hey, coach, this guy, man, he did this red flag and that red flag, but he's so rich. Like, I don't know what to do." I actually just told a student last week to stop playing with the man that she's messing with because she doesn't even like him. He's old. He's filthy rich, but he's old. You don't like him. And he's poly. You don't like that. You don't want to be his side thing, right? In this polyamorous lifestyle he's living. So, like, why are you even there? And she's like, well, he pays half my rent and he pays. Well, then you stay there. If that's what you want to accept and you are okay with that standard, then you stay there. If you don't like it, fix it. Change it. So I give them the real raw reality of it. I don't, no pun intended, sugarcoat, because they come to me with a goal of, I want to be in a relationship with somebody who can protect and provide. I want longevity. Then they find me.
I'm not sure at all what this is. I've never heard this before. What is sprinkle sprinkle? I don't know what that is.
So I can tell you that I don't know the person who originated it. And every time it's written on my page, I cringe because my method of teaching is very, very different than what Sprinkle would be taught. It basically came from this idea that women are supposed to bring nothing to the table because we are the table. And if you want my time, you pay me for it. And if you want to be with me, you give me an allowance, or you pay my bills. And I don't align with that message. I feel like if you cannot responsibly take care of your roof over your head, your food in your mouth, and your clothes on your back, you're probably not in position to date anyone, let alone someone that's got something to lose. He's got to be able to see that you can hold things down while he lifts things up. And if you can't show up in that way, you don't deserve to have that man. But the ideas behind Sprinkle is supposed to be, when a gem is dropped, when there's, something said that's like, kind of like in church when they're like, amen, right? When you agree with something, you just yell this out. So that's what it started at, but I just don't get down with Sprinkle because I don't believe that, the way we are teaching these women is conducive to long-term healthy relationships. Is very much falling backwards into that sugar game. And I came from that. I was one of the best sugar babies out there. I was getting money without having to, be on my back, so to speak. I figured it out how to like manipulate to get what I wanted. But it was just unfulfilling. I hit 30 and I'm like, what am I doing?
Who's madder at you, men or women?
Ooh. Um, the men. The men are more angry with me.
But is it the rich men who are mad about this, or is it
Absolutely not.
they
They
don't
love
care
me.
about this
They
one?
love my work. They love my products. They DM me all the time about how grateful they are that I'm teaching women the reality of being with men like themselves, such as themselves. They applaud me and my work. They love it here. They're like, can you match me? Do you have any women? And we just started dabbling in matchmaking about a year ago, but we we find that the men that have money, they get it because they have money. So they're not offended by a woman that wants them because of their money, because that was part of the reason why they decided to be financially stable, was to be able to get a certain kind of woman and keep a certain kind of woman and have a certain kind of companion. And she looks a certain way, she acts and behaves a certain way, she does certain things for me that I would never be able to have if I was only making $30,000 a year.
Are rich men getting harder to find?
No, they're getting wiser. They're getting wiser when it comes to who they give to. They're becoming more protectant of themselves and their investments. So they're no longer in this phase where they're like, hey, you're hot, I'm going to blow money on you. Now they're like, let me hear you say something first. Talk to me. Give me some insight on who you are and what you're after and what are your dreams and desires and your long-term goals. Oh, you don't have any long-term goals? You're just hot? Okay, I might take you to an expensive dinner once or twice, see if I can get to where I want to go, and then peace out. So they're just getting wiser with what they're willing to accept. And it goes beyond beauty now. It goes beyond like, how hot are you?
Eventually, you have to talk to them.
Yeah, eventually you have to like them.
Where do women blow it? In the sense that, like,
That's kind of personal, don't you think?
that was a bad
Little
choice.
personal. It's getting a little bit
It's like, whoa. Well, if you
well, I
listen,
mean,
if you don't already know, I can't be the one to tell you. Where do women like? What is the trait that keeps them from getting the man they want that they just can't change?
I want. I want is the trait. I want is a deadly disease. I want will ruin everything. I want a house. I want a car. I want a man. I want a rich man. I want a this. I want a that. I want a unicorn. I want a freaking pony. I want is the trait. I am is what they're taught by me, right? I am meaning I'm in pursuit of whatever this thing is that I say that I want. It's no longer a dream or a fantasy or a desire. It's now a goal. women blow women blow it at the I want. They do.
Yeah, I can
It
see that.
crumbles to pieces at the I want. As soon as they get a man that falls in line with what they consider a protector, they're like, I want $200. I want $2,000. I want $2 million. I want, oh, you won't give me that? Okay, well, I hate you now. And he's like, you just wanted me for my money. Even if that wasn't the case of she just wanted him for his money. She just was so selfishly living in I want, not I am, or what do you need? They miss that point every single time.
That's pretty much all the questions that we have. Is there anything that you think we missed, or how can people learn more? Sign up for the program, for lack of a
Yeah,
better phrase.
so what I do is very unique. It is not for everybody. Some people feel like, um love plays a much more active role, and I would likely agree with you in saying that in order to create longevity in a relationship there must be love there. However, I also know that there are stipulations and standard to what love looks like for you, and if it looks like a specific lifestyle that you are actively in pursuit of achieving, then come and find me on all platforms. Sweet number two elite, SWEET, two elite everywhere. On TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook. You can find me everywhere. And we will find what leg of the program works best for you, which piece of it speaks best to you, your budget, where you want to get started, if you want to get your feet wet or dive all the way in. But the students that decide to come and work with me directly, we get results in 30 to 60 days. You're already starting to meet incredible men, and we call them POTS, potentials, right? So if you want to have a nice selection of potentials, then this is the route that you need to go to get there.